back to another video in this week's DearPiggy data structures. So in this week's videos, we are focusing on a new concept called stack. So stack is probably something that you maybe have heard of or will hear of in the future. It's a pretty important concept, but like this entire course, we're going to be diving into the basics of all of these important data structures. So this first video is just going to be an introduction on stacks in general, and then a little bit more on things to be careful of, and finally how to create a stack. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So you see I have this really nice diagram over here, and this is like the, I guess, picture form of a stack. So what a stack is it is a linear data structure that we use to store a collection of objects. So this is, in a way, similar to many data structures that we've seen before, right? Some sort of data structure that can hold many different objects. So let's see, order of items matter, push items to the top of the stack. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our pictograph thing over here. So let's imagine all of these red blocks, maroon blocks, as our objects. So these are the items that are in our stack. So you can think of a stack as a stack of books. That's how I think of it, right? So we have a stack here, and these are all items / objects added into our stack. Now, when we push items into our stack, and this is one of the big, I guess, differentiating parts about the stack, the difference is that when you add things into your stack, they go on top of each other. So what I mean is that there is no, like, the first values that you enter in will be the first values deleted. Rather, the first values that you push into your stack will be the last value deleted. So here's the part where I introduce a little bit more. We have push and we have pop. So push is where you add values to your stack, and pop is when you delete the top of the stack. So the top, as you can tell, is like this. But notice in the picture how we have 1, 2, 3 items over here, and the fourth item gets pushed in, but if I pop it immediately, it's not the first item that gets deleted, it's the last or most recent item on the very top of the stack. So there is one motto that I like to go by, and it basically is first in the stack, last out of the stack. So anything that goes in first into the stack goes down to the very, very bottom, and so we don't get to pop that out until the very last part. So yeah. There's also a data structure called heaps, and this is what makes stacks and heaps a little different. So like I said, items get pushed to the top of the stack, and you pop items from the top of the stack, just like you're stacking books or Legos. So now that we have a pretty good idea of what a stack is, like picture-wise in our brain, there are a few more pictures that I want to show you that each kind of show an important concept. So this is an example of an integer stack here. So in this first example, you have an empty stack, and this is going to show you the order at which we're pushing things into our stack. You push 20, you push 13, push 89, all the way until you push 18. And notice how all of these numbers are getting pushed to the top of our stack. So again, just like stacking books. So all of these are getting pushed, and then you can see that the very top is called the top of the stack. All right, so now let's look at the popping. So if we have the top of the stack here, when we pop the value, we're going to pop 18, and it's going to bring it down to 45. So just because the top of the stack is 18 and we're popping it does not mean we remove 20. We remove the top of the stack, which is 18. So similarly, when you pop 45, pop 11, you just take down the block starting from the very top. So we understand push and pop. Now we have the top. So we, like many other arrays and array lists, we have indexes as well. And what I mean by that is that when we're counting our items, the number of items is one number, and that one you just count normally. But the index is different, and that's where we count from 0, okay? So what I mean by that is that notice, guys, that 6 over here is the top of the stack, and it's item number 2 or object number 2. Yet the index is 1 because we start from 0. So in this case, 12 would be 0 and 6 would be 1. Similarly, 12,06192. So the top is 2 here. So when we count from the top for the index only, we use 0. We start from 0. And last but not least, I promise we're almost done with the pictures, guys. We have a top value and meaning chart. So 0 honestly should make some sense, right? Because the stack only has one element, which means it would be the 0th index. So the top value would be 0. However, if your stack is empty, meaning that you have nothing in your stack, then your top value would be -1. So not as much sense, but still makes a little bit of sense, right? So empty stack has a top value of -1. So these were all just some pictures that I threw together because I thought they would help. Now it's time for us to go ahead and physically create a stack. So that is this slide. Let me go ahead and create a REPL though. So let's create a REPL, a Java REPL. Wow, REPL, it changed, didn't it? Yeah, REPL, it got some new interface work. Looks a little different now. All right. So the first thing that I want to show you guys, which I always forget, I'm so bad at remembering this. You'll do all this work and then it doesn't work and then you spend all this time debugging only to find that you forgot to import. So import java.util.stack. So this is going to import the stack into our code. Now there's a couple of ways you can create your stack. The most basic way is similar to that of creating a scanner, when you would go stack, give the name of the stack, which people called stack, is equal to new stack. You could create your stack like this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, but we usually don't do it this way because we like to specify, I spelled specify wrong, specify the data type of the stack. And what I mean by that is the stack is going to have a specific data type, as in integer, string, it could be Boolean, but whatever you want. So obviously strings are more fun. So we're going to go stack string, and then let me know what you guys think this looks like later. Stack string book list is equal to new stack string parentheses. All right, so we've successfully created our string stack. Now, just by looking at it, if we have a super awesome memory, we might be able to make some connections and realize that this is very similar to creating the linked lists, array lists, anything of that sort, right? Except we just don't put we put stack and then the data type, the name equals new stack string. Whereas linked list, we would go linked list string name is equal to new linked list string, or whatever, so on, right? So it is pretty similar in that concept. So once you get one down, you remember one, you remember all of them too. So we've created our string stack, and so the next part for our job is to go ahead and start adding values to our stack. Why? Because our stack right now is empty, and I can prove that. There are actually, you could print out the individual values in your stack with a for each loop, but for now we're just going to use system.out.println, and then when we run the code, this is just a warm-up run for a REPL because it's very slow sometimes. It gives you an empty thing here. So I don't know if you noticed this, but this means it's empty. So what do you do with an empty book list? Obviously you add books to it, right? Pretty simple. So I'm going to change this not to book list, but entertainment, because I actually don't read that many books now. It's so sad. My friends would be so mad at me if they heard this. But, and then, because I watch a lot of TV. TV is fun. Entertainment. Hopefully I spelled that right. All right, so this is our empty entertainment stack. Now let's start adding things to our stack. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the push method. So we'll have a video in a second about methods for our stack, but just this first one that I want to introduce for now is our push method. And so this is just, we're pushing values to our stack. Notice, remember this picture here, our values get pushed down to the bottom of the stack and then they stack up over time. So just like this picture over here. So pause the video if you want to take a look at that. So let's go ahead and try it. So we're going to say entertainment dot push, and let's start pushing at least 5 values in there. So we could say, let's start off with a book. What books have I read? I read Circe over the summer. It was one of my summer reading books. Entertainment dot push. Now let's do a TV show, Friends. I always think the periods make my life so hard, but it looks so much better. All right, entertainment dot push. Let's do another book. What books? I love Harry Potter. I haven't read that in so many years, but it will always remain classic in my head. And I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts admission letter. In case you guys don't know, I believe it'll come one day. Okay, so Harry Potter. Guys, I'm seriously running out of books. What is it called? Geronimo Stilton. I know that is super childish, but I was so obsessed with that for a long time in my life. Entertainment dot push. Oh, okay. I remember now. Something that my friends are watching is like Vincenzo. It's like a K-drama, like a Korean drama, which they don't even understand Korean, but they're just watching it, which cracks me up. And they're just looking at the English subtitles, but it looks pretty interesting. All right, so we pushed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values into our stack. Let's print out our stack one more time and see if it looks any different from the empty, sad thing that we saw before. So run your code and dot, dot, dot. There we go. We see Circe, Friends, Harry Potter, Geronimo Stilton, Vincenzo. So all of our values have been pushed into our stack. Now notice that Circe comes up first, but it's not actually in the visual sense, right? Visually, it would go Circe, Friends, Geronimo Stilton, Vincenzo, or if I counted that right, I probably counted that wrong. But Circe would go at the very bottom here. Alrighty, so looks like we finished creating our stack. Is there anything else that I want to mention before we move on to our next video? So the order in which you push the items matter. Yes, that's true. You could have different types of stacks, which we might go into in a future video. But yeah, otherwise that's it for this video. I'll see you next video for some more on stack methods. So I will see you guys then. Bye guys.